Hi, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'll start by sharing how you can get started on your investment journey with just a single dollar for people who feel like they do not have enough money to start investing, because that was me in September of 2021. Let's look at two ETFs that are considered to be the best ever and how you only require $1 to start investing in these two ETFs. ETFs are exchange traded funds. They are a bundle of stocks, hundreds and even thousands of stocks put together to form a new stock called a fund. So an exchange traded fund is just like any regular stock, but it's made up of multiple other individual stocks. And so it trades exactly like individual stocks. You buy and sell ETFs like you'd sell a share of Apple or Coca-Cola or Johnson & Johnson. But ETFs are very safe because they come diversified by design. So today, let me share with you two of the best ever ETFs, and the minimum requirement to start investing in these two ETFs is just a single dollar. And those two ETFs are VTI and VOO. Both ETFs are by Vanguard, and so here, let's have a look at them. VTI is Vanguard's total stock market ETF. It tracks the entire US stock market. What this means is that by investing in VTI, you get to own a tiny piece of every publicly traded stock in the US economy or in the US market. This is considered a broad market ETF. It's very highly diversified because it's made up of these thousands of all the publicly listed companies that trade in the US. It is very inexpensive. The expense ratio usually tells you what it would cost you to invest in a stock. 0.03% means that for every $100 you invest in VTI, it will cost you 3 cents. That really is so immaterial, it's almost like investing commission-free. If you scroll down, you'll see for VTI, the minimum requirement to start investing is a single dollar, at least as of June the 27th of 2025. Now, one of the advantages of investing in VTI is that it gives you access to large cap stocks, mid cap stocks, and small cap stocks. Large cap stocks are the stocks of those large, well-established companies that are great dividend payers like Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, AbbVie, and lots of other stocks, including the tech companies as well, although the tech companies are not good dividend payers. Mid-cap stocks and small-cap stocks are stocks of companies that are a little smaller, but with a lot of potential for growth. So by investing in VTI, you get to enjoy the benefits of all three classes of stocks: large cap, mid cap, and small cap. So dividend paying and growth stocks as well. Now, the other thing to look at is the performance of this stock or ETF over time, total returns for VTI. The ETF was established in 2001, and over the last year, it's returned about 13%. Over the last 5 years, VTI has returned about 15%. And since inception, it's returned nearly 9%. And that's a solid performance. The second ETF is VOO. VOO is another Vanguard ETF, and it tracks the S&P 500. So that's the index that tracks the 500 largest companies in the US. Like VTI, it has a small expense ratio of 0.03%. So it will cost you again 3 cents for every $100 you invest in this ETF. The other advantage of investing in VOO, of course, is that you get to benefit from all the exponential growth because the S&P 500 is dominated by the large tech companies and they're known for very fast growth. Of course, with that comes great risk as well. Great reward, great risk. So that's something to keep in mind. The advantage of investing in both VTI and VOO is that, of course, they track US stocks, or they track the US market, which is the greatest or the strongest economy and market in the world and has been for decades. Again, the minimum starting amount for VOO to invest in VOO is just a single dollar. And in terms of returns since inception, VOO was established or created in 2010, so a little more recent than VTI. Over the last year, VOO has returned over 13%. Over the last 5 years, nearly 16%. And since inception, over 14%. That is a great return for any stock or fund. So these two funds both require just a single dollar to get started investing. Now, please note that both VTI and VOO are US listed ETFs, but another way to start investing in the stock market with a really small amount of money is to open up an investment account on a brokerage that allows for fractional shares, so you can still start with as little as $1. I invest on Questrade, but I also know that Questrade now allows investors to buy stocks for as little as $1. I'm not saying that's the amount you start with on Questrade, but there are other platforms. Do some research and look into platforms like Robinhood, Weibo, Moomoo, M1 Finance, Wealthsimple, and so many others, Trading 212, and see whether you can start with a small amount. I'm sure a lot of platforms allow investors to set up an account and start funding it with as little as $10 or $1. Once you start investing, set yourself a challenge to contribute perhaps $1 a day. That will accumulate into $30 by the end of the month, into $60 by the end of 2 months, because the truth be told, you can't do much with $1 these days. But if it's going to help you get started investing by putting away $1 a day, then it's worth it. So do not miss out on an opportunity to build wealth and build financial security for yourself out of fear of the fact that you do not have enough money to start investing. Now, to my dividend income year to date. Before we look at the numbers, if you enjoy content like this, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. It helps the channel grow. It also encourages me to continue making these videos. Don't forget to share with family and friends and hit on the bell icon so that you're notified every time I post a new video. Let's look at the numbers. So I have downloaded an activity summary from my brokerage account on Questrade for 2024 and 2025. Column B here says transaction date. That would be the date on which I received a dividend payment. C says action. I'm sharing mostly dividends. Other actions might include buying and selling stocks. Tickers. Tickers are codes by which stocks trade on the stock market. The ticker for Visa, for instance, is V. Ticker for Johnson & Johnson is J&J. Pfizer, PFE. Ticker symbol for the Royal Bank of Canada, RY. Procter & Gamble, PG. You get the idea. Column E is description or name of the stock. So some of them are ETFs, of course. And then, of course, the individual stocks like Alphabet, Johnson & Johnson, Fortis, and so on. Column F, that's the quantity of stocks for which I'm being paid dividends. Column G is the net amount. Now, if you've watched any of my prior videos, you know that I talk a lot about liking Questrade because it allows investors to hold stocks and receive dividend payments in either Canadian or US dollars, depending on where the stock is listed. So column G is the net amount in the respective currency. Column H is the currency, of course. Column I says all Canadian. I have converted all my US dollar dividends into Canadian dollars so that we are comparing apples to apples for reasonability. And column K, activity type, this is just dividends. Column L, account type. I have 3 different accounts on my portfolio on Questrade. The portfolio I'm often sharing on this channel is on Questrade, and I have 3 different accounts on it. I have 2 tax sheltered accounts. I have an RRSP account. This is equivalent to the 401k for those in the US. And I have the TFSA. The TFSA is equivalent to the Roth IRA. In the TFSA, you invest after-tax dollars, so all the money in it grows tax-free, and when you withdraw, it's still tax-free. In the RRSP, you invest pre-tax dollars so that at the time of withdrawal, tax will be applied. Hopefully, you are in a lower tax bracket at that time. And then the third account is a margin account, a taxable account. So I have 3 different accounts on Questrade. So that's column L. So let's look at the numbers. So I downloaded both my 2024 performance and 2025. So in 2024, for the whole year, January to December, I received a total dividend income of $3,617.63, which is equivalent to just over $301 per month in average dividend income. because we are looking at the first half of 2025, January through June, let's see how I performed in January through June of 2024. So January to June of 2024, I received a total of $1,575.63. So keep that in mind. Now, remember, I received $3,617 in 2024, but I received $1,575 in the first 6 months, meaning that in the second half of the year, I received more than $2,000 in dividend income in 2024. Now, let's look at 2025. In January of 2025, I received a total of $267.80 for different payments. TD paid me twice because I have TD both in my RRSP and TFSA. I've had some viewers ask me why I have the same stock in two different accounts. Because the RRSP and TFSA are both tax-free accounts, we only have a limited room each year. So once I max out one room and I still want to build a certain position, I go into the other tax-free account. And that's why I have TD in both accounts. And so that's January of 2025 to $67.80. February. In February, I received a total of $558.33 from 6 different payments. Royal Bank paid me twice, and that would be perhaps the bigger change because I opened up a new position for Royal Bank in my TFSA. I previously had Royal Bank only in my RRSP. Bank of Montreal paid me $236.91. Procter & Gamble, AbbVie, Apple, all three are US listed stocks, paid me a total of $139.38. I only have 25 shares of Apple. So Apple is largely a growth stock if you ask me. I do not invest in Apple for dividends per se because the dividend amounts are really modest, really immaterial. AbbVie is a pharmaceutical company, a great dividend payer, and Procter & Gamble is one of those dividend staples in most portfolios. Warren Buffett has Procter & Gamble. So that's February of 2025. March. In March, look at that, 14 different payments for a total of $480.89. I have VTI, that's Vanguard's Total Stock Market, the one I talked about earlier. And then I have SCHD in 2 different accounts, both my RRSP and TFSA. SCHD is a Schwab dividend ETF. I have it in 2 accounts, small positions. I need to build those up. SCHG is another Schwab ETF. It's a large cap growth ETF. SPLG is a SPDR, State Street ETF that tracks the S&P 500. So this is an S&P 500 ETF. I have 98 shares. I started this position in 2024, and so was SCHG. XIC is a BlackRock Total Stock Market ETF that tracks the entire Canadian market. It's a new world position. I have that in my margin account. Manulife Financial. I have Alphabet, both Class A and C, and both of them are in the TFSA account. Johnson & Johnson, Visa, those are US listed stocks. I also have Enbridge, both in my margin account and TFSA, $480.89. That's March of 2025. In April, 4 payments for a total of $316.48. Coca-Cola, Canadian Natural Resources, TD paid me twice. That's April. Let's look at May. So May of 2025, look at that, $662.93. That's the largest single monthly payment yet since I started investing in this portfolio in October of 2021. Bank of Montreal paid me $238.50. Royal Bank of Canada, again twice, 2 payments for $284.16. Procter & Gamble, Apple, and AbbVie. These are US listed stocks. So May of 2025, $662.93. I believe the biggest change is the increase in my Royal Bank position in my TFSA. I previously had 41 shares, I believe. So that's May of 2025. Now to June of 2025. June, look at that, $534.28. Again, 14 different payments. Let's compare that to June of 2024. Look at that. So in June of 2024, I received $214.03. Compare that to the $534. So we're looking at June of 2025, $534.28. I think the material changes are in Enbridge. The position now has more than 230 shares. And so you can see the amount of dividend income as well, $224. Otherwise, SCHD has also increased. I've increased this position. XIC has also increased by about 10 shares, and so has Manulife and Pfizer. Pfizer is a newer position, $17.95. So that is June of 2025, over $530 in 1 month. Now, if you've watched any of my prior videos, you'll know that in the first month of investing in October of 2021, I received $1.62 in total dividend income. So this is a long way from October of 2021. In total, let's see how much I have received year to date. So in total, year to date, I have received $2,820.71 in dividend income for the month of January through June of 2025. That's equivalent to, let's see, average monthly income, 6 months. That's equivalent to about $470 per month in dividend income on average for the months of January through June, so the first half of 2025. So that there is a new milestone for me. Exceeding $400 in average monthly dividend income is a new milestone for me. Now, remember, my target is to achieve a monthly dividend income of about $500 a month in 2025. So that looks like a promising situation for me. Now, I have not yet updated my annual dividend tracker with my June dividend income. So let's go and do that together. So June dividend income is $534.28. Let's go and update my dividend tracker. So this is my dividend tracker. If you haven't seen this before or watched any of my prior videos, it's basically populated with monthly dividend income from the first year I started investing. In 2021, as I mentioned earlier, I started in October. I received a total of $1.62 in monthly dividend income. And for the whole of 2021, granted it was just 3 months, I received $61.90 in total annual dividend income, which was equivalent to a monthly income of about $5.16. In 2022, I received a total of $889.10, which is equivalent to about $74 in monthly dividend income, $17 in weekly dividend income. 2023, $1,667.62, $1,667.62, which is equivalent to about $139 in monthly dividend income, or about $32 in weekly dividend income. 2024, total dividend income, $3,617.64, equivalent to about $301.47 in monthly dividend income, and almost $70 in weekly dividend income. Now to 2025, let's update the month of June. Total dividend income for June was $534.28. There we go, voila. Total dividend income for 2025 year to date is $2,820.71. This is more than 75% of my total dividend income for the whole of 2024, and we are only halfway through 2025. My expectation is to hit a monthly dividend income in 2025 of about $500. So by December 31st of 2025, I expect that I would have received $6,000 in annual dividend income for 2025, barring any unforeseen circumstances. Again, the trick is just to remain consistent. So my projection is that by December, my total dividend income for 2025 will be at least $6,000, which will be equivalent to at least $500 in monthly dividend income. So I'm very passionate about this because I really want to get back my time from my employer. And so consistency. Of course, I reinvest all my dividend income presently because I'm also still fully employed. I'm just going to try and grow this as much as I can. And so if you become consistent with your contributions into your investment account, before long, you'll start to receive some meaningful amounts of dividends. If you're sitting on the sideline thinking you do not have money to invest, today I've given you an idea on how to start. Ideally, you start by investing on a brokerage that offers fractional shares. That way you can buy stocks even when you just have $1. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video and found this helpful. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel, share with family and friends. I'll see you in the next one.